We're in England doing another art book. This is titled Burning Waters, and it is by and about Victor Pasmore. There are a lot of other books by other people called Burning Waters, and there are other things by Pasmore also called Burning Waters. For example, there are prints and exhibitions, and there are other versions, different versions of these books. This version is not necessarily a first edition from what I can tell. I don't know whether it's a second edition or a third edition, but certainly it's a wonderful book, and I'll show you what we've got. The book has a sleeve, which is a good sign that it's a good book, and the sleeve is covered in linen, as is the book itself. The book has a very simple spine, and it goes straight into what it's about. So we have Burning Waters, visual and poetic images by Victor Pasmore. I guess it was published by Marlborough House, who were organising other promotions for Pasmore through the years, things like exhibitions, catalogues, marketing, etc., etc. I don't think this was necessarily organised by the printers, for example, which also were a big part of his business. This was first published in 1988. The implication of that is that this was not published in 1988. It says printed by the Progress Press, Malta, in an edition of 200 copies and a signed deluxe edition of 50 copies with an original lithograph. Not very clear whether that alludes to this book or the ones before. I think that this says it means that there were 200 before with signed 50, and I think before that there was a 375 with a signed 75, and then just a number 300. So I'm not sure, but it doesn't really make any difference to what I'll sell it for, because it's just background information. This book is perfect condition. I can't see any damage at all. I can't see any annotations at all. I can't see any creases, and there's no evidence to suggest this book's ever been used. It has no damage at all whatsoever on either the book or the sleeve. There are some loose threads, but I just think that's how it came off the book, the bookmaker. There's no sign at all it's ever been sort of passed around. So this book here is in England, and I will get it to Malta at some stage, and we'll end up probably in a sale room once I'm bored of it. But we'll have a look at it anyway. So there's 14 titles, 14 chapters. I'll see if I can pick anything out which will be interesting for you. I'm not an expert on Pasmore. This alludes to a Mexican mask. If you look at the jewellery in the 70s, Earth, Wind and Fire comes to mind, the band, and the costume jewellery comes to mind. There was quite a lot of Inca stuff, Aztec stuff in England, certainly. It was fashionable, and he is aware of that, and it's shown as his first image. Then we go into these poems, which I think are tedious. Richard England does them as well in Malta, which I don't know who did them first. I imagine it was Pasmore. So he's trying to embellish his artwork by sticking on poems. I think that they are negative poems, having read them slightly. They're full of question marks. They are not joyful at all. They're thought-provoking, but they're slightly sullen. Don't like them. Some people will love them. This habit he has a habit of taking prints, and when he publishes them, gets them made into lithographs, etchings, and limited edition prints. He sometimes actually puts them on the margin, or certainly sometimes I think on the plate as well. So he did for a time really get stuck into these poems and put them on the artworks, as I say. And I think visually it ruins the artwork. Other people will disagree. We know from documented archival information that he changed the colours of his paintings when it came to printing them, some of them. We know from archives that he changed the images from the paintings to the prints by changing some of the detail, adding some detail and taking detail away. Sometimes he put images outside the original painting in the margin of the prints. Sometimes, as I say, he put these poems in. He changed the texture of the background. We know that because the printers wrote about it, how they put grit into the ink to make it look different. So he was evolving his works to get them to the end user. The prints are wonderful. The quality of the prints and colours that he shows are fantastic, but they're not always the same as the original artwork. That's for certain. Deep as a pearl dropped in the sea, and deep as the tomb in a mountain cave, search for the heart and look for me. Don't really know what he wants. I think looking at it, it'd be nice to think it was, if it was related to Malta. Certainly we have the sea in Malta, caves in Malta, tombs in Malta. It's not a million miles off Minadra or Giganteja, those temples in Malta. I haven't checked the date, so I don't know whether it was done when he was in Malta. It would be nice if they were. Certainly we have Calypso cave prints from him, which were done based on Malta. He mentions orange tree, rocks, owls, moon, dogs. It's possible Malta influenced him on some of them. Well, it's beautifully printed. This is a double page spread. Beautiful colour finish to the prints. Fantastic texture. And in between the printed areas you have the blank backs of the coloured plates. Will you cast your seed among the stars, or will you fall like Icarus to the ground from which you sprung? What was he taking at the time? I dread to think. Run along, little boy, see the years go passing by. Bitter the wine, or sweet the taste. Which will you drink before you die? Hard going, those poems. I'm not sure they help the marketability at all. Life and nature, or the shadow of death. That's it. Okay, so for thought-provoking, interesting nevertheless, the wonderful book for sale in Malta, later in 2024. Fantastic condition. They're not cheap, sorry. They're going to get very expensive, these books. They're expensive now, they're going to become desperately expensive. Thank you.